Your first step in installing your router's base plate is to get the router's base plate, remove it from your router, and then you're going to want to line this up on your insert. When you line this up, you want to be careful that the 4 holes on your insert do not overlap any of these holes on your router plate. So you will have to kind of eyeball it to get it in place. It may help to put a insert guide bushing in the center, although it's not required. This can sometimes help you line up the center a little bit better. This is a Bosch 1617 insert plate, so it's not as crucial, but it does have 4 holes, and you can tell that they're the insert holes because they have a little recession right down here. But anyway, the use of a insert guide bushing can help you as well. The next step that you're going to want to do depends on how steady your hand is, but basically you're going to mark your insert with 4 holes. If you don't feel like that you can do a good job with that, go ahead and tape down your base plate with some double-faced tape. I'm using a red Sharpie, and I'm just making sure that the hole is completely outlined. I like the red because I can see it on the base plate. The next step is to take your base plate off, and then you'll see your 4 holes. Double check those so that they're in place, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to drill these holes through on a drill press. Okay? Very simple. And the question is, well, what size drill bit do you use? And this is really predicated on what you have, what size bolts that your router came with. Now, there's 2 things to keep in mind. One, if you notice that this insert plate here is a little bit thinner than the insert plate that you got that you're going to use in your router table, the one that you ordered. So, certain manufacturers, the screws that they gave you are not going to be long enough, and there's 2 ways around that. If you look at the Bosch insert, they have a countersunk drilled out, but it's not a standard countersunk. It's a bigger size hole that's drilled with a bigger bit so that it takes this hole down to a nice thin thickness so that you can use the bolt that came, or the screw rather, it's kind of a screw I guess, that came with your router. Otherwise, just take your router screw out and go to Home Depot and get a slightly longer one. You may have to look in there. But you want to drill these 4 holes big enough so that there's a little bit of a slot, just a tiny bit, okay? Because you're going to need to be able to move that around. If you made any kind of an error when you marked your spots, you're going to need a little slop in there. Not a big deal. Now you can see that I drilled all 4 holes, and I put a slight countersink on each inside. This way, I'm using the original screw that came with the router to show you that it goes down and it's nice and just below flush. That means none of my work is going to catch. Now, if you look underneath, it's kind of hard to see here. There will be just a tiny bit coming out of the other side. Obviously, that goes into your router base. I elected to just use the screw for this example from the router. But I prefer to get a little bit longer router screw, a new one from Home Depot or somewhere, because I prefer that. I don't want to drill out any more on the insert. This is just my own personal preference. I just go pick one up. They're only like 10 cents. So basically, when you're all said and done, your 4 holes will go in there. And just a side note, just because everyone asks me, these 2 holes that come with the insert aren't for nothing. These 3 holes. These you can put your starter pin in. That's it. But they're not for mounting. These 3 holes here mean nothing. Ignore these 3 holes. There you go. All you have to do is screw it into your router plate, your router base, and you're ready to go.